Hello everyone, this is the presentation of Team 16. It is based on Australia's investment rate of growth during the period of 1961 to 2022. I'm Qianyi Wang and I will start this presentation for the first three parts. As you can see here, the presentation is divided into 5 parts. Before I start with the first part, we also did some research of Australia's investment rate of growth during the period. Australia has experienced various economic cycles and changes in investment patterns over the years. The massive resource boom in the early 2000s to mid-2010s, the brief recession in 2008 to 2009, and the COVID-19 pandemic from 2020 then to 2022. Throughout the years, Australia's economy has been influenced by fluctuations in global commodity prices, especially for key exports like iron, coal, and natural gas. Also, the analysis of the data will provide a more specific analysis of the changes in Australia's investment rate of growth, as we consider it can be affected by various factors. Now we can turn to the description of time series. We can see the graph shows a big fluctuation range from 17% to negative 14%. The mean is around 4 and the growth rate approached to 0 in 2022. The mean of Australian investment rate of growth is 4.2, with a maximum of 17.5 and a minimum of negative 13.5. For the autocorrelation and partial correlation, there is no clear pattern of the autocorrelation and partial correlation function, so we cannot suggest any model here. Then in the test of unit root, as the p-value is all less than 0.5, it rejects the null hypothesis, which means that there is no unit root in the testing level. As the cointegration table is shown here, we can find that Y3 and Y4 are cointegrated of order 2. Since there is CI in this Y3, Y4 time series, we should build VEC model. And here we can find that there is no obvious pattern in the cross correlation of Y3 and Y4. And the training period is from the first quarter of 1961 to the fourth quarter of 2020. The testing period is from the first quarter of 2021 to the first quarter of 2022. Then we can turn to the second part, forecasting with a Riemann model. As we can find here, the best Riemann model is 3, 3, 4, and 0, 1. And the RMSE is around 5.7, which is slightly more than the mean of 4.2. The interval forecast basically includes the actual for 2 years. For the 4 quarters of 2021, it shows an underestimation, and in 2022, a slightly overestimation appears. It seems like a good forecast as the interval is not very wide. And now for the forecasting with Gauge model. We can find that there is no pattern in correlogram of residuals. We also look at the correlogram of squared residuals. There is no autocorrelation and partial correlation in the residuals of the model. By using 1, 2, and 4 legs, the probabilities are all bigger than 0.5, which means the null hypothesis cannot be rejected. So there is no evidence of heteroscedasticity. And this is the Gauge model based on the best Riemann model estimation. And the RMSE is about 4.7 here, which is quite similar to the previous one. The interval forecast for the 8 quarters contains all actual values. It seems a good forecast.
Okay, so next we'll turn to the forecasting with VAR or VEC model. So the first one is based on our previous estimation. The Y3 and Y4 have co-integration by order 2. So there will be a VEC model estimation instead of using the VAR model. So the graph shows the more detailed of the VEC model based on the Y3 and Y4. That next one is forecasting for the testing period under the plots. As you can see that the Y3 RMSE is around 11 and Y4 is around 84. Is a big difference. But the interval forecast contains the true forecast within the limits. This seems a good forecast. The true forecast Y3 goes up at the first 2 quarters of 2021, then it goes down until 0. It ranges from 0 to 15, and the interval forecast ranges from 25 to 30. As for the forecast 3, it remains stable at around 8 within the limit. Overall, it's a kind of a good forecast. Moving on, it's the impulse response function. For the response of Y3 to its own shock, we can find that there is no effect starting from 5 to 10. For the first quarter, there is a positive effect on Australians' investment rate of growth. It goes down and lasts for more than 1 year. Then it becomes no significant. For the response of Y4 to its own shock, we can find that there is no quarters cross 0. For the first 2 quarters, it starts relatively high, then there is a sharp decrease on Ireland's investment rate of growth. After that, it slightly goes upward and downward. Then it becomes stable at around 15 for nearly the last 5 quarters. For the response of Australia's investment rate of growth to change in Ireland investment rate of growth, there's no effect from the first quarter till the end. For the response of Ireland investment rate of growth to change in Australia's investment rate of growth, there's also no effect from the fourth quarter until the end. Next is the variance decomposition. For the percent Y3 variance due to its own shock, we can find that at least the first year, most of changes in Australian investment rate of growth is due to its own investment parties. It means that Australian is to blame for their own changes in the investment. After that, there is a slight decrease in effect for 3 years, going down to 80%. For the percent Y4 variance due to its own shock, we can find that up to 3 years, they are only explained by their own shocks, which means they have partially no influence of the shocks in the Australians' investment rate of growth. For the percent Y3 variance due to Y4, we can find that for the first 3 quarters, there's no shocks in Ireland. They have no effect on the changes. And after that, it slightly increased up to about 20%. For the percent Y4 variance due to Y3, we can find that there's no influence of the shocks in Australia's investment rate of growth. The last part is the combined forecasting. Here is a graph of combined forecasting of cash flow 1 and the plot with Y3. As you can see that the combined forecasting cash flow 1 seems significant fluctuating compared with the actual data. It increases fast to its peak at 15 in the first 2 quarters in 2021. Then it decreases to almost 0 in the end of 2022. Next one is the combined forecasting of cash flow 2 and also the plot with Y4 and cash flow 1. In the left graph shows a combination of cash flow 2 and the actual data. It has a quite wide confidence interval from -10 to 15. The actual data and the combined focusing 2 are within the limit with fluctuation, with a horizon, but the actual data is fluctuating. The right one is the combined plotting with cash flow 1, Y3, and also cash flow 2. They have a basically a similar trend as cash flow 1 is around 5 and cash flow 2 around 3. Combined with the actual data, it seems an underestimate forecasting for nearly the first 5 quarters and overestimation for the last 3 quarters. So that's our whole presentation. Thank you.